I noticed it was her favorite perfume, a scent that used to make my heart flutter. Like a teenager's now it just felt cloying, a sticky sweetness masking something rotten underneath. She walked in a little, to balance a little too bright-eyed for someone who supposedly just finished a 12-hour emergency shift at the hospital. Honey, I'm home, she chirped, that same FCE cheerfulness I come to dread. My name is Thomas and my wife is Amelia, or I suppose was we'd been married for years of shared Netflix binges, quiet dinners and weekend hikes, or at least that's what I thought. Is funny how a life you've carefully constructed, brick by loving brick, can crumble so spectacularly with just a few cracks in the foundation. Amelia always claimed to work long shifts. It was part of her medical job. Lately it seemed there were more emergencies than usual. It started with little things, I guess, late night calls she'd taken the other room, always lowering her voice, explaining him away as a particularly difficult patient, or a worried colleague. The way she'd recoil slightly when I reached for her hand, a barely perceptible flinch that nevertheless set off alarm bells in the recesses of my mind. And then there was the perfume, jasmine, always jasmine, a perfume that felt more like a mask lately than anything. Tonight, however, was different. She came back not just smelling of jasmine, but almost vibrating with a peculiar energy. Long day, she said, giving me a quick peck on the cheek, the kiss landing off center more like a glancing blow. You okay? I asked, trying to keep my voice level. I felt a knot tightening in my stomach, that familiar dread rising. Tired but fine. What did you have for dinner? She said with a smile. I watched her hand her purse, the same bag she'd been using religiously. Nothing much, I said, my gaze drawn to the living room while she followed my stare. Therein stud bold letters written in a color I recognized instantly. The deep red of her favorite lipstick was a single word, liar. It was painted massively but precisely on the wall, each letter screaming a truth. I'd only begun to understand. The word wasn't a painting, it felt like a physical punch, a hammer blow to my chest. Her face went slack, her eyes widening, her lips parted in a silent gasp. The color drained from her, leaving her skin paper white, the brightness replaced with star terror. What is this? She stammered, her voice a shaky whisper. All the pep gone. I didn't answer. Instead, I walked to the side table, picked up her purse, and with a decisive pull I dumped the contents onto the floor. A tumble of tampons, receipts, loose change, and amongst it all, nestled like a poisonous insect, was a second phone, the old kind, a simple flip phone without any access to our connected world. I picked it up, unlocked it easily with the last 4 digits of our wedding date, a code we used so she wouldn't forget it, I guess. The message log was brimming with exchanged messages that seethed with raw intimacy and a level of connection she never shared with me, and the names mostly just Jay. She must have thought she was clever enough. I held up the phone. Care to explain this? I asked, calmly. My voice didn't waver. All the rage that had been bubbling inside had turned into a glacial focused anger. Amelia started to cry, great big crocodile tears, her hands flying to cover her face like a child caught stealing candy. She was a terrible actress, always had been. It's not what you think, she sobbed, a classic refrain that did nothing to alleviate the suffocating pain constricting my chest. I think it's pretty clear, Amelia, I said, each word laced with a cutting sharpness. A liar, a cheat, an adulterer. Would you say the next 10 minutes were a blur? She cried back, tried to rationalize. A hulking concoction of excuses poured from her mouth, a deluge of desperate justifications that washed over me with their uselessness. My focus, my mind had left her months ago and found something akin to steely resolve. I picked up the phone, thumbing through recent calls. Who is Jay? I said calmly, as though this was all very casual, a light conversation over morning coffee. Amelia's sobs took a stutter. She didn't want to give me this, but she had lost all of her power. Her words became timid whimpers. His name is James, she barely whispered. James, I repeated, turning on my heel to head towards the door. Well, James has a surprise in store as well. I grabbed my car keys, leaving her there amidst the wreckage of her deceit. As I got into my car, I called Jay at the number saved as recent on her flip phone. Hello, this is James. Who is this? Hey James, it's Thomas, Amelia's husband. She is at my house as we speak. Why don't you swing by? I want us to get to know each other face to face. I spoke as plainly as could be. I knew this had to have thrown him off. It was unexpected, to say the least. He stammered, his voice shaking. I hung up the phone. It wasn't long before I heard a car pull into our driveway. I was outside now. The cool night air did me good, but it also allowed me a better view of the sorry excuse of a man emerging from the driver's seat. James was older than me, maybe in his early 40s, with a receding hairline and a slight punch. The irony wasn't lost on me. This was the man she had thrown us both away for he stepped towards me tentatively, an air of swagger turning into hesitation as he registered the coldness in my eyes. I didn't know she was married, he started the lame excuse hanging in the air. I smiled at that, a grim humorless twist of my lips. I am sure she was very honest with you then. Did you happen to notice all the photos we had together in our house, or did she keep that part hidden like a secret treasure before he could enter the door to our house? Open, Amelia, stumbling out, tears streaming down her face. Thomas, please, this can all be explained. I ignored her, turning my attention back to James. Tell me, James, what did Amelia tell you about her emergency shifts? I asked, the word dripping with sarcasm. His face paled. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course you don't, I said, just as Amelia doesn't know that I installed cameras in the house in case some trouble might emerge. I pulled out my phone, displaying the live feed of the living room. Shocked James and Amelia cowering behind her own deceit, his face now mirroring the stark terror that Amelia's had just before the evidence was there, visible. Impossible to deny this wasn't some. Took a breath. I calmed myself and collected all the evidence in my hands. The message logs, the camera footage, and a detailed report, a full report on every deceitful detail, every moment they lied, all the time she pretended she didn't only have one flip phone. She had a second and a third phone where she communicated with other friends. I looked at them both with pure loathing. This wasn't rage anymore. This was a